Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of D&D CR Exposed. Today we are looking at yet again another viewer or channel member requested monster from the Dragon of Icespire Peak adventure, which I believe is probably one of the newer intro adventures for players. And anyways, the requested monster today is, as you can see here, Gorthok the Thunder Boar. When I saw the name for the request, I thought it was a joke, and then, sure enough, it's actually a monster. But before we get into looking at Gorthok here, let's get the business out of the way. If you like what I'm doing here and you'd like to also get this tool for yourself, you can go ahead and do so with the link in the description from my Ko-fi page, where you can get the tool absolutely for free, or you can donate if you feel so inclined to. Donations are appreciated, but not necessary. Beyond that, if you'd also like to request a ridiculous monster that is, likely a first-party publisher or sometimes some third-party publishers, like from Kobold Press or the likes, you can use the link in the description below for my Google form, or, which would be so much better for the channel, leaving a comment and, appeasing the AI YouTube overlord algorithm monsters that, rule our lives here on this channel, unfortunately. Or not on the channel, but in the platform in general. So, with the business out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at Gorthok the Thunder Boar. And I'd put thunder in there if I really wanted to get fancy with it. But anyways, we are looking at a CR6 huge monstrosity here. And our monstrosity has 15 AC with a total of, let's see here, a whole bunch of hit dice that are going to be D12s once I got that swapped over. We're having 7 of those to bring us to 45, and then this will be adjusted by our stats of 20 strength, 11 dex, 19 con, 6 intelligence, 10 wisdom, and 14 charisma. From there, as we can see, we have the 73 hit points like it is set up here. For the average, we are now going to add in some damage resistances of bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks, and we only have 2 immunities. So we don't necessarily need to worry about that because it's lightning and thunder, and that makes sense because it is a thunder boar. You wouldn't want to use either of those, but we are going to put in resistances here, which will give us an additional 50% hit point bonus. From there, we were going to go ahead and ignore the rest of this information. It doesn't matter, and we're going to move into the Relentless trait. And the trait is indeed something we have for our boar, which is going to give it an effective 14 hit points here. Now, all this means is that when the monster is reduced to 0 hit points, it can be reduced to one hit point instead once. Long time ago, when I first GM'd my first very game of D&D 5th edition, I had a bunch of my players facing off against some really creepy boars and didn't realize that, this only worked once after a short or long rest, and I kind of treated it like the undead feature that allows them to just keep going to 1 on a D roll, or some kind of a die roll. And needless to say, I was very confused about what was going on, and it was my first time GMing back in, right around 2014, 2015 or so, when the books first came out for D&D 5th edition. So a little fun story time there. Moving on, we do have a multi-attack, and we are going to make 2 melee attacks, one with its lightning tusks and one with its thunder hooves. And luckily, both of the attacks here are going to have the same attack bonus of 8, so we'll go ahead and throw those in. And as we can see here, this is coming off of the strength bonus, which is very obvious. This isn't going to be a dex-based monster for sure, considering it's based off of a boar anatomy. And we are going to add in for our attacks here the following. Now we're going to add in 12 for our main slashing damage, plus an additional 7 for our lightning, and that's going to work out to be 19 points of damage for the tusks. And then it looks like we're doing exactly the same for the thunder hooves. We have 12 and then 7 again, so there's no need to worry about that. We're just going to go ahead and come down to our multi-attack section, times this by 2 since we are doing 2 of those, and getting ourselves 38 damage per round. Now this is going to be the average, and we're doing each of these, so it doesn't matter which one we pick, it's perfectly fine. And honestly, I don't see, besides the fact that one is slashing and one is bludgeoning, I don't see the point of having 2 separate attacks. It just makes the stat block that much bigger. We could have just said, 2 hoof attacks, cool. And then lightning strikes from the tusks. But it's a boar, and I know they gore. Okay, moving on. Anyways, lightning bolt. recharge on a 6. So we are generally only going to see this on 1 out of 6 turns of combat. If your dice are rolling hot and you're rolling rocks, you would definitely be seeing the lightning bolt maybe more times. Now, generally speaking, the monster is only built for once. If you do get it more, this is going to drastically increase the CR value of the monster because you're going to be doing a lot more damage. So keep that in mind. Even though you can recharge it, should you? Probably not. Depends on what happens. If you had low damage the first time, then maybe if it recharges, use it again. But otherwise, we'll see how this monster works out, and we'll go from there. So we do get our line of 120 feet. We have a dex save, and we're dealing 48 lightning damage. So that's going to be a total of, and I'll move that down to here. Let's see here, 18 times 2 for 36 total damage. Now, ironically, this is actually less than the multi-attack, and there's no point in using the lightning bolt unless we have a setup for that. So, in theory, we're not going to bother with the lightning bolt because it's actually less damage. And in the concentration here, we're just going to go ahead and do our multi-attack every round of combat, ignoring the lightning bolt. And we have ourselves, let's see here, that's everything. So we have ourselves a CR5 Gorthok the Thunder Boar. This monster is actually running a little low. So how can we fix that? Well, the easiest way to fix that is just to come in here and increase the dice. So right off the bat, we are dealing, what is it? 2d6 plus strength, and then we're also adding in an additional 2d6 plus nothing for that, and we will go ahead and change this here so that we have both of those. Oh, yes, we have both of these going on. Okay, nothing changes here. Now, what's going to be the best way to do this? Well, we're going to go ahead and swap this probably to, let's say, a d10. Let's make the slashing or the bludgeoning damage that much more powerful. If we do that, now we have our CR6 monster. And there we go, folks. With the resistances out of the way, though, we do drop that down just a little bit, but thankfully, it's not a big deal, and there's our monster. So thank you so much for joining us for another episode here for Gorthok the Thunder Boar, and we will see you in the next video.